Good evening, everyone. My name is Barbara Nickel. I'm president of the League of Women Voters of the Mount Baldy area. I'm here to present a candidates forum for mayor for the city of Pomona. We have three candidates here tonight, Tim Sandoval, Veronica Cabrero, and Gustavo Ramirez, who are running for mayor. I'm going to give each of them 2 minutes to begin their opening statement. And so, Tim, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and make your opening statement.
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, and thank you to the candidates who are here to share their views and experiences. I'm Mayor Tim Sandoval. I grew up in Pomona, attended PUSD schools, and before I became mayor, I co-founded a nonprofit program that has helped over 3,000 young people from Pomona go to and graduate from colleges all over the country. I ran for mayor in 2016 because I believed the mayor at the time could not lead our city to its full potential. I was elected in November 2016. I, along with others, have improved our financial situation, including our reserve funds, from 14 million to now over 60 million. There's new market rate and affordable housing being built all over the city. We increased development fees that had not increased since 1989, including park fees, that is allowing us to increase park acreage throughout the city. We received millions of dollars in grants to repave our streets, improve walkability and rideability in our cities. In fact, recently we received a Transformative Climate Communities grant for $22 million. And homelessness, which continues to be a challenge for us, where would we be if we didn't have Hope for Home or the Heart Team? You may recall 7th Street, Commercial Way, where tens of tents lined our cities. We have done this together, but let me be clear. While I believe we have made great strides, there is more work to be done. For far too long, the city has faced intractable problems like sex trafficking, community violence, and recently homelessness. I have committed myself to working with others to solve these problems together. They don't end magically. You have to plan and organize city resources to end these problems, and that I have done and continue to do. To be clear, you do not end these problems in a day, a month, or a year, problems that have existed for over 50 plus years. It takes time. Our work is not done. And as I have done for the past 8 years, I'm committed to working with you to transform a city that we love. Thank you.
Veronica.
Good evening. My name is Veronica Cabrera, and I am running for city mayor as well for Pomona. I'm going to start with the reason I am running. I am new in Pomona, a new person, and having been able to travel and been in different places and different cities, live in different cities. When I got to Pomona, just because by accident, because by COVID, I couldn't go back to my place. I got stuck in here. And once I was staying, I started walking the streets, riding the public transportation, and the experience was very, very extremely negative. I was in shock. I couldn't believe this, like a place in the United States. That's how I felt. How is it possible that a city, place in the United States, in the richest and the most powerful country in the world, is in this condition? I couldn't believe it. So I started doing a lot of research, attending to the public meetings, talking to different people involved in the meetings, city meetings, and after finding out a whole bunch of information, I knew that the only way that things can change is by doing it ourselves. Somebody told me once, if you don't like how things are done, do them yourself. I understand that whoever has been in the government, they have done their best within their capacity. I understand that. So I can't ask them for more. They try, and that's what we have. But I see big time a whole bunch of potential. So here I am.
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you. Gustavo, your 2-minute opening statement. Unmute yourself, Gustavo, please. Gustavo, can you hear me? I feel like Gustavo's having a sort of a connection problem. And so I'm going to go to Freddie, but we'll try to go back to Gustavo when he gets that. So a 2-minute opening statement, Freddie.
Once again, I want to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to join you this evening and talk about my candidacy for mayor. It was something that I did not plan on doing. Just as it came close to the filing period towards the end of the year, I had outreach from many people, from business owners, community individuals, nonprofits, urging me to vote, urging me to run for office because they see the need that Pomona needs going a different direction. And I agree with them 100%. Obviously, we see what we see out there in the streets of Pomona, the crime, the homelessness, the housing, and the fact with businesses don't seem to be very well welcomed in the city of Pomona. And so with that said, I decided to throw my name in for mayor in the city of Pomona. And I think my track record speaks for itself. I brought over $20 million directly to the city of Pomona. And directly, as I mean, from the California state budget. No other elected official can say that. At least that's what I've been told from many folks in the city of Pomona. Over $10 million to the city police department, over $14 million to Pomona Unified School District for arts programs, to career techno education, and most recently funding for the Fairplex in Pomona to expand their welding program. I think with those that I brought to the city can tell folks that I'm dedicated to the city, born and raised in the city of Pomona. My kids, my grandkids were born in the city of Pomona, and I think Pomona needs to go in a different direction. I think it starts at City Hall. It starts with the mayor and the city council. It needs to be held accountable for all the actions that happen in the city, good or bad, right or wrong. We see what's happening in the city, and it starts at the mayor's office. And I'm going to be a person to behold myself and our fellow electeds accountable for everything that happens in the city of Pomona. Far too often that we see fingers get pointed in every direction, but I think it starts with us. Things cannot happen overnight. It's going to take time, and I'm going to be that person to really address those issues of crime, homelessness, and housing once and for all, and take the lead of the city to a different direction. Thank you very much.
Gustavo, can you unmute yourself and make your opening statement? There we go.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm really excited to announce that Dolores Huerta herself just called me about 7 minutes ago to wish us all support, and especially to her mentee, who's me. She's my personal mentor and taught me about how to make a difference. I know some of her speeches, several by heart, so I'm really excited that phone call just came from my mentor, my personal mentor. So this is a tough job. I've assumed the position of mayor already, okay? And right now, as we speak, there are 4 people in my property in Pomona that are disabled and elderly and homeless and ill at this second, right now. There are a couple people also who have just graduated from the pilot program that I started. It's not accredited yet, but it's called the World Peace Now University, where we take people that have been in gangs and we teach them about ahimsa. You know, ahimsa, which means a lot of people call that nonviolence. It's really anti-violence if you study the Hindi and the Sanskrit background. So anti-violence, and now they're peace and social justice activists. Some of you met Anthony D, who's actually in the background right now. Hey, you're our first graduate of the pilot program of World Peace Now, gone from gangs to peace, anti-violence, nonviolence. And so I believe that. Hey, do you want to say hi to the camera?
Thank you, Gustavo.
Oh no.
Veronica, I'm going to ask you the first question. And that question is, what skills do you bring to the job of mayor that you believe will be most useful to you in that job? Unmute yourself, please, Veronica.
Thank you. Yes, I sure can answer that. I am extremely organized, persistent, and with a high level of ethics, and integrity. I never been in the government, and I don't expect to do the same thing. So I've been a small business owner for probably 30 years, since 1996. So that's 28 years, always been independent. I can control finances well, stay out of debt, use the best, whatever we have in the best that we, leverage it. And I'm a good speaking and listener. I listen to people, I care for people, I go and I listen. So I would represent the people based on their needs, not what I think or what I want based on my personal interest. So some of those are my special characteristics, and I think the most important needed in a public representative: being honest and care for the people enough, listen to them, leaving your personal interests out of the position.
Thank you, Veronica. Gustavo, you are next. Do you need me
Hello,
to repeat the question?
No, it's okay. First of all, as I'm speaking, I'm multitasking. I haven't even begun to officially, professionally campaign because there are people that are sick. I turned off the the camera so I can I give people tea and some food because one of them got hungry right now. And so you'll meet a couple people in the future in a few moments. So I'm multitasking as we speak. I'm doing the work. So the skills are, I have a tremendous amount of heart, like an unbridled amount of enthusiasm. And I studied at Harvard University. I went to Cambridge, Massachusetts, and lived there while I studied government at Harvard University. And my grade point average at the master's degree level is 4.0. It's a perfect grade point average in government. And I didn't graduate from there. I specifically strategically studied at Harvard to learn government, and I strategically graduated from UC Berkeley, and I created the major. I'm the one on the planet that created the major of social justice. So I studied social justice with an emphasis. Back then, 26 years ago, it was called my major that I created was called social justice with a concentration on lesbian and gay equal rights and liberation. I think the underdogs deserve a chance, and so, but the qualifications are many. It's I haven't even prepared for this, so I hope you can still see me.
Freddie, same question. What skills do you have that you think can be most useful to you as mayor?
Well, thank you for that question. I think the skills for me is a prior council member of the city of Pomona for over 7 years, on top of the 11 years experience as a state lawmaker, brings a lot of skills, a lot of relationships, not only at the state, but the federal and the county level, to bring back to Pomona, where I was born and raised from. I think I can tell folks now that if I knew what I knew now as a council member when I was in the council previous years, I'll be a stronger advocate for the city of Pomona, knowing what I know now, because of the relationships and what I've been able to bring to Pomona as a state lawmaker. And being the mayor in charge is really going to, I think, take Pomona to a different level because of the experiences and the knowledge, education. And once again, I'm born and raised in Pomona. I've been here through the good times and now the bad times, and I want to be an advocate for the city as a whole and really take Pomona in a different direction to really show that Pomona is a place where businesses are welcome and crime is taken a different level, and being that person that will really accomplish and address the real issues facing the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Freddie. Tim, same question. Do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I heard it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I consider myself to be a servant leader. And one of the very fundamental parts of being a servant leader is listening and being able to bring people together. We all know the very real challenges that Pomona's faced. And one of the very first things that I did as mayor, because I was deeply concerned about just the general upkeep of the city, is to create a program called Pomona Beautiful, where members of the community come out every Tuesday and clean up our streets. These are volunteers. These are people who are retirees, they're students, they're community members. When the pandemic hit, and it was clear that it was critical that our community-based organizations, our businesses, and our residents work together, I created the COVID-19 Action Committee so that we can figure out how are we going to help meet the needs of our residents. We knew people were suffering as a result of not having access to food. People were facing issues around rent. They were facing issues about how to access the different sites for testing and quarantine sites. That work continues to this very day. It is critical that we all understand that the city government cannot solve the problems of the city by themselves. They have to work with others. And so I've been a bridge builder, and I continue to be a bridge builder, knowing that we cannot solve the problems of the city alone. And so that is something that I will continue to do to help solve problems that have existed for 50 plus years in this community. They weren't solved 10 years ago, they weren't solved 30 years ago, but we are working to solve those problems over the next, what Pomona should look like very different 10, 15 years from now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, question 2, I'm going to start with Gustavo. Yeah, that's correct. What is your top priority for Pomona, and what are 2 concrete steps you can take as a mayor to address that priority?
Thank you. The top priority is Pomona's safety. Safety. People in Pomona don't feel safe. People in Southern California do not feel safe going to Pomona. That's why so many people avoid Pomona. Even people in Phillips Ranch, which is actually Pomona, the majority of people in Phillips Ranch they don't go to Pomona, even though they live in the hills of Pomona. So safety. There's been too many murders, even in the past few days. A 16-year-old high school kid was just murdered between the Pomona mayor's mansion, Tim Sandoval's mansion, and Hope for Homes, and City Hall. Like right around that area, Mission Boulevard, the child was killed. He was murdered. Brittany, I can see Brittany's window where she worked from my bedroom window. She worked at the Pomona Valley Hospital emergency unit. She killed herself just a couple months ago. It's not safe. That Fidel passed away on Reservoir several weeks ago. After him, there was Antonio, who died of a fentanyl overdose. Also, Samantha died of a fentanyl overdose right outside of the mayor's mansion. So it's not safe. So Freddie Rodriguez has failed, utterly failed. I can't even believe that Freddie Rodriguez has the audacity to run for mayor, because we don't have a thriving and safe Pomona. So safety. I founded Hope for Homes. I was one of the first 5 founders. It was called Lions Gate. It was Ron Williams' idea.
Thank you, Gustavo. Freddie, your response to that question.
The top 2 issues I'm going to focus on is crime and homelessness. Obviously, crime is a big issue in this city. And with that said, I'm the only candidate that's currently endorsed by your local police officers that really want to take Pomona to a different level when you talk about crime, the issues of crime, holding folks accountable, right? And homelessness is another issue. I think far too often there's many organizations that provide services and resources to the homeless, but yet I don't think they're doing the right job. So I want to hold these folks accountable. Let's see the people in Pomona that are really providing services to the homelessness and reevaluate them. They're getting state, federal, maybe county money and city money to provide resources to address the homeless issue. But what are they really doing? Let's hold those folks accountable. How many people are they helping to get them off the streets? I know we have a homeless shelter in Pomona. How well are they serving our community? So it's really getting deep down into the services and organizations in the city to find out what they're really doing and reorganizing what they're really doing to provide those resources to address the homelessness issue, and working with our local police officers, how we can do a better job in addressing the crime issues. If it's something we need to work with our state, federal, and county individuals, let's work with them to make sure that Pomona is a safer place, because definitely it's not a place right now. We can see in the paper, we see what happening in the streets. It's not good for the city. It's not good for the residents or businesses. So I want to hold folks accountable and really reevaluate the services we're providing to address the issues of crime and homelessness in the city of Pomona. Thank you.
Thank you, Freddie. Let's see, I'm sorry, I sort of lost my place.
I think I'm up next, Barbara.
Yes, you are. Do you need me to repeat the question?
Sure.
What is your top priority for Pomona, and what are 2 concrete steps you can take as mayor to address that priority?
Yeah, so let me just say that community safety is paramount. It is hard for people to be able to feel good and positive in their city if they don't feel safe. In the short term, homelessness is one of our biggest challenges, but we as a city have taken very real concrete steps to try to address homelessness. This is not an easy for any city. In fact, every city across the state of California is experiencing homelessness at varying levels. And in fact, if you actually look at the percentage of people experiencing homelessness in Pomona, we have had a number of, in the past 8 years, we've actually had a decrease at times in the number of homeless. We built Hope for Home. We tried a multi-layered approach. We developed the HEART team, which is a very critical component of reaching out to homeless individuals with compassion. So it is important that we approach this with compassion and a multi-layer, but certainly there is more work to be done. But I also just want to point out that we cannot just look at the short term. We have to look at the long term. And I'm a huge believer that we have to invest in our children. We have done very, very little prior to me becoming mayor, doing any work in the area of 0 to 5. And we as a city pay so much in public safety on the back end by not investing on the front end. I have committed myself to concretely increasing the number of programs available to our students, addressing issues around rent increases in our city, passing an inclusionary housing ordinance so that people can participate in the wealth of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Veronica, same question.
If I'm on mute,
There
there
you
you go. Thank you. The main, the main concerns is a list, is an endless list, but I'll mention some. Let's say housing, big time crisis, healthcare, our people are on the street dying, like Gustavo just said it, jobs, and those infrastructure, the streets are deplorable. And then management, city management, funds management. There is no money is ever enough if there is not a good management. Now, how to do it is super easy. With the same money we can do it, but we have to have different approach. We can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. I am I have a different vision of from whatever it is right now, because if I do the same thing, we're going to have the same results. And it surprised me that somebody who has run the city for 8 years thinks that he can do any better. Somebody who's been in the government for God knows how long, born and from Pomona, and Pomona been like this, think that they can do any better than whatever they've done so far.
Thank you, Veronica. Question number 3, I'm going to start with Tim. And this is question number 3.
Just for clarity, I don't know that everybody has started first.
I think you started first with.
I started first.
And then Veronica and Gustavo and Freddie started the last question first, right?
Just wanted to clarify that.
I think so. But I do make mistakes, so it's okay.
As
So
do
here's
I.
the question. Pomona is in its first year of a 10-year contract with Athens Services for Waste Disposal. What is your opinion of how this contract is being handled, and did the city make the right choice?
Give me a second here. So let me just start by saying, if anyone watching this forum has a question or concern related to Athens, please don't hesitate to call me. My number is 909-907-9358. It's important to understand context here. The city did not pass SB 1383. which was an unfunded mandate imposed on cities in California that requires Californians to separate organic material from other garbage. That's the law. Every trash hauler has to operate within the law. So there was no doubt that trash hauling services were going to go up, particularly for residents and businesses. And so we provided a very rigorous process that took over 2 years, that was transparent and that was open to anybody who was a part of this forum to weigh in and to ask questions and to ask us why we ultimately decided to go to Athens. The way trash hauling is done for businesses was previously done where you placed it in one trash. Now you're being asked to place it in 3 trash cans. That is a result of a state mandate. Cost will go up, but I tried to keep costs particularly down for our residents. And in fact, our residents are paying $2.50 more than they were previously paying per month. That is a win for Pomona residents, and that makes sure that if we had kept it in-house, the cost would have increased tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Veronica, same question.
Thank you. It is a system, very well-known system, where the government give public property to the private sector, where the private sector is the only one that business. It is like selling your citizens' right to choose, a violation to the antitrust law. It's a monopoly. It's a total abuse. The people are paying 2 to 4 times more, from $100 to $300 to $400. This including residents. And if a private company can do it, how is it possible that a whole city cannot afford to follow that rule, to separate the trash? Those are just excuses to do all this kind of tricky business. That thing needs to be canceled. That transaction needs to be canceled. It's cancelable. It can be revoked just because they are not performing. The city is trashy and the expenses have go 2-3 times. So it should be revoked.
Thank you. Gustavo, same question for you. Gustavo, can you please, there you go.
Thank you. So can you repeat the question, please? Technical difficulties. Yeah, I couldn't hear anything.
Right, I'll repeat it. Pomona is in its first year of a 10-year contract with Athens Services for waste disposal. What is your opinion of how this contract is being handled? And did the city make the right choice?
Oh, thank you. I'd like to actually use this time, since we're being strictly timed, to say actually my accomplishments. That's extremely important. But I'm going to go back to safety, which is even more important than trash. It's extremely important. Environmentalism and pollution and environmental justice and environmental violence and environmental racism. But it's more important that the people are dying as we speak. There are people in my house that I've taken from the streets, and they've said that they've never heard of Fredo Rodriguez in their lives, and that none of their friends have ever heard of Fredo Rodriguez in their lives, that Fredo Rodriguez has not ever given them any services personally. And so what I've done, what I'm capable of doing, I helped found the Pedro Zamora Youth HIV Clinic in Los Angeles about almost 30 years ago. Fredo Rodriguez is correct in saying that no government official or something like that has raised that much money. But me, as a civilian, as a without a political position, I went to Washington, D.C. 4 times, and we released over $528 million, but I was the one with my hyper energy to stand there and say I was not going to leave until they raised it by 50%, and they finally did. They raised the Ryan White Care Act funds in 2006 to almost $800 million, and now it's at $2.5 billion, not just for Pomona, but across the United States, $2.5 billion. billion, and that was
Thank you.
me.
Thank you, Gustavo. Thank you, Gustavo. Freddie, same question. Do you want me to repeat the question? Was that yes, please?
Please, I'm sorry.
Pomona is in its first year of a 10-year contract with Athens Services for waste disposal. What is your opinion of how this contract is being handled, and did the city make the right choice?
Well, thank you for that question. I don't think the city handled this appropriately like it should have. I think it should have been more transparent. I think giving a company a 10-year exclusive contract for residential and commercial should have been separated in two different bids, one for residential, one for commercial. But when you give somebody an exclusive contract for 10 years, I think that's a little too extreme. This company, I'm sure it's a good company doing what they said they're going to do to provide the services. But to be honest with you, I can personally tell you that I don't see a better difference in it being contracted out. So more the fact we talk about illegal dumping, I could say down the street from my house, I can tell you there's a lot of illegal dumping that goes on. And if I don't call folks myself, the trash will not be picked up. When you contract with the organization to provide better service, you're acting for better service. We talk about, I know the mayor's made reference to an assembly bill that was passed years ago to mandate the differences in trash being picked up. But I can tell you now, the 5 cities I represent as a state lawmaker, Pomona is the only one that increased the trash rates as much as they have. The other cities prepared themselves for this mandate from the state that were able to phase things in where it wasn't a big burden on residents or commercial businesses in the city. So for some reason, the city didn't do a good job getting itself ready for these mandates. Unfortunately, Pomona dropped the ball on this because the other cities didn't raise their rates as much as Pomona did. So with that said, I don't think Pomona did a good job in doing what they did.
Thank you. Thank you. Veronica, I'm going to ask you question number 4. So you're going to answer this question first. And the question is, homelessness has continued to increase year over year. How do you propose to meaningfully address the situation?
Thank you for the question. I have a very clear idea of how we can do it. In the first place, we can fix the problem when we have a shelter where today the homeless are homeless and sick, and tomorrow they're going to steal. That's not solve the problem. I have noticed how they tend to keep the problem so they can keep leveraging it, getting money for them, but never using it on the people. So we need housing, we need medical attention, and we need jobs. The housing, we can, even though Section 8 is a federal program, still the city is responsible for its own citizens. And we need housing, we need to supply the need of Section 8, regardless with no excuses. We need medical attention, especially for substance abuse and mental health. We need to give them treatment, offer them housing once they are treated, and then we need jobs, which we can create with our own construction company, so we can build our homes, we can create jobs, and the money can stay in Pomona. So that would take care of the problem. We would provide the whole service.
Thank you, Veronica. Gustavo, the same question for you. Do you want me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Homelessness has continued to increase year over year. How do you propose to meaningfully address the problem?
Well, like I said, around 9 years ago, I started the foundation of Hope for Homes. We built it. It was called Lionsgate. So I've and the mayor wasn't even, I'd never heard of Tim Sandoval yet, but because he wasn't in political office when we started this. Unfortunately, it is mismanaged now. The Pomona so-called leadership, the city of Pomona and their official representatives changed the name of Lionsgate into Hope for Homes. And now there are people, just one position I looked up yesterday, he's not even the executive director, and that person makes $120,000 a year off of the homeless people in Pomona. So just like I helped start that one, we'll start many state-of-the-art, innovative, not just homeless shelters, but transitional living programs with truly experienced people working with wraparound services, psychological services, mental health services. I know that Hope for Home does have that, but we need more innovative ideas and effective ideas. People have been there that are here at my house, and they said that they're not treated like human beings at Hope for Homes. I know the executive, the people that run these nonprofits and pretty well and get paid really well. But we will start with me. First of all, we'll have 7, not just 1, but 7 state-of-the-art rehabilitation.
Thank you. Freddie, same question. You want me to repeat it?
Please.
Homelessness has continued to increase year over year. How do you propose to meaningfully address the situation?
Well, one thing I can tell you for sure that I brought the city police department over $8 million for the Oath program, officers assisting the homeless. I think that's one component that we need to continue to fund and make sure those services are being provided by our local police officers. But the other thing is we need to look at reevaluate all the organizations, nonprofits in the city of Pomona that say they're providing services and resources to the homeless, and really give me some data. How many people are they really helping come off the street? Because if we're putting all this money in all these organizations that are helping the homeless, why are we still seeing the big issues in our streets? I know we need to really look at what our homeless shelter is doing there on Mission Boulevard. Maybe really evaluate the service that are being provided, and really, once again, get some data on how many people are there housing, how many people are there transitioning from the streets to housing to jobs, right? I think just that whole program needs to be reevaluated, and that's something I want to look at doing, and providing the best resources that we have at our capability at the city level, working with our county folks and the folks at the state and federal level to help address this issue. Because once too often, I think we have too many people doing things that aren't really being held accountable to make sure they're providing the resources and services for the homelessness. Because if they did, we shouldn't see the problem we're having in the city of right now that we are having. Thank you.
Thank you, Freddie. Tim, same question. Do you want me to repeat it?
No, Barbara, thank you so much. There is, it said the host muted me. My apologies. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, I was just going to say, there isn't one approach to this problem. The city of Pomona has undertaken a multi-layered approach to this issue of homelessness. Hope for Home is just one example that we've undertaken over the past 8 years to try to get people off the streets. And as I mentioned, if anyone remembers 7th Street and Commercial Way, it was row upon row of tents of unhoused individuals. And while no system is perfect, a Hope for Home provides a range of programs, provides food and showers and beds to help people get their lives back. There's also motels. In collaboration with the county, we've been able to house people in motels. We've also built more affordable housing than any other city in the region. In fact, you will not see protest in our city when it comes to affordable housing. In fact, across the street from the police station, I led the effort to free up that property to be used specifically for affordable housing. And the other thing is it's important that we keep people in their homes. And I have worked with the community to provide protections for our renters. But let's be clear, the state and the county need to work with us to provide mental health services. Because I can tell you, I'm on those streets connecting with people, and there are people who are dealing with serious mental health issues. And if we don't have the infrastructure, you are going to continue to see this problem exist, not just in Pomona, but all over the state.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask one more question, and I'm going to begin. I think, Veronica, you answered this question, so I'm going to begin this last question with Gustavo. And the question is, how do you intend to improve Pomona's environmental footprint?
Thank you. I've been an environmentalist my entire life as a Native American, indigenous. I'm already working with organizations like the Sierra Club and like other organizations I've helped found a few organizations, actually several organizations. And one of them is called Upward, which stands for Uniting Peace with Actions, Respect, and Dignity. And we're an environmental and social justice organization. We had the, an event just a few years ago here in Pomona Valley. And I brought Dolores Huerta as a keynote speaker, and Hilda Solis, and so many others. Freddy Rodriguez had even had someone represented. There was a protest that I had to stop against Freddy Rodriguez's environmental practices. So I had to stop that so that they wouldn't ruin the speech of Freddy Rodriguez's political people like Robert Torres at the time. So I had to quell that protest. But at this event, it was, I'm trying to remember, it's all by heart, no time to practice for speeches or anything. So it was called the Save Our World environmental, Save Our World environmental, I forgot the exact name of the event, but we had several organizations.
Thank you. Freddie, same question.
I'm sorry, what was the question again regarding green space, or what was
How
it?
do you intend to improve Pomona's environmental footprint?
Well, I think with that, it starts at City Hall. City Hall should be the leader. Maybe City Hall should go solar. We should have charging stations at City Hall for folks that come in, and we need to provide incentives for our homeowners, our businesses in the city. How do we get it to a place where we're transitioning to a greener environment? Open park with spaces, with parks. How do we improve our infrastructure on park space, green space in the city of Pomona? I know there's some work being done now, but we need to continue to work on that. But once again, we got to cater to the demographics of our city, because not all folks maybe can be able to afford some of these changes into our environment, but we need to start making those movements forward to make sure that everybody's inclusive in the city of Pomona. It doesn't matter where you live, but the fact that we're going to a green environment, and it starts once again with City Hall, and it starts with the mayor's office, the city council, to make sure we take a lead. It starts at City Hall, from there expanding to our residents and our businesses and our community once and for all. Thank you.
Tim, same question. Do you want me to repeat it?
No, I've got it, Barbara.
Thank you.
You know, the fundamental challenge we face is, how do we get people out of their automobiles? And one of the ways that we do that is by greening our community. We need to make our city more walkable. We need to make our city more bikeable. And we also need to make sure that people have access to good quality public transportation. And in fact, I helped lead an effort when the Foothill Goal Line was not going to be fully funded to Laverne. I led an effort that brought together mayors and community members to go to Metro. At the time, I was not on the Metro board, to demand that we get the $126 million to get the Foothill Goal Line to the city of Pomona. And we were able to secure $126 million. I sat in the COG meeting and implored all of the mayors and council members who serve on that body that we needed to support this unanimously. We will have the Foothill Goal Line, and will be completed at the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025. How important is that for our community to have access to that? We just received the Transformative Climate Communities grant that is going to improve solar in the community. It's going to allow our K through 14 students to have free access to public transportation. It's going to be more trees. It's going to be more e-bikes, right? The work that you see happening on Holt and Gary is a Clean California Grant Initiative. I, as mayor, have focused on improving the environmental climate. In fact, reducing the number of truck routes in the city of Pomona, and I'm very proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Veronica, your answer to the question, how do you improve Pomona's environmental footprint?
Thank you. Yeah, we need trees, a lot of trees. When we restore the streets, redo the streets, we can add trees that would help with lowering the temperature during summer, better, cleaner air. And we need a massive campaign about saving water. I have noticed that generally speaking, people don't have the culture of saving water. we need to teach him to do that. But apart from that, I want to mention that when the city elected go and clean the streets and call the citizens to clean the street, are you kidding me? You have to be, you have, I mean, we, the people, pay taxes, and the company that hired pay millions and millions of dollars, and you expect the citizens to go and pick up the trash and our officials? No, that's not how we do it. One. Secondly, increasing taxes. We need representatives do not increase taxes. Tim has approved and pushed for keeping high sales tax, and Mr. Rodriguez right now is passing an initiative to create a new tax. No taxes. Keep the public institutions like the police and fire departments away from politics, because they buy our politicians. When they get in power, they come and they distribute the city funds.
Thank you very much. It's time now for closing statements. Each of you have 2 minutes for closing statements, and we're going to start closing statements with Freddie Rodriguez.
Okay, once again, I want to thank everybody for giving us time to share our views on the issues facing the city of Pomona. And once again, it's something I never thought of about running, but because of the outpouring of support from businesses, organizations, and community residents in Pomona urging me to vote because of the issues we see in the city of Pomona. If you drive through the city of Pomona and see the issues of the crime, homelessness, prostitution going on, then stay the current course. If you want somebody to take Pomona to a different level, being tough on crime, and really address the issues of homelessness and housing, I'm your guy to vote with. I'm the only one that currently supported by your local police officers, firefighters, and nurses in the city of Pomona. And I'm homegrown, born and raised in the city of Pomona. My kids are born in Pomona. I've seen the city come from one extreme to the other. And I think it definitely is now a time to change the city of Pomona. You need to hold the city mayor, city council, and all those accountable for the actions. But once again, it starts at City Hall. Without that, then I think the city does not have a voice, because once again, the people vote for us for a reason, to be their voice at City Hall. And that will be the voice of City Hall to really take Pomona at a different level where it never been before, and really address those tough issues that people don't really want to address. And I'll be your person. So with that, thank you very much for your time, and hopefully I can get your vote and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Freddie. I appreciate that. Tim, your 2-minute closing statement.
Thank you. First of all, thank you to the League of Women Voters. I appreciate you hosting this forum. Ever since you first elected me to serve as your mayor in 2016, I have worked tirelessly to address our challenges and pursue new opportunities. But I have not worked alone. I've asked you to join me on this journey, calling upon residents to rethink their relationship with City Hall, asking not what the city is doing to address our problems, but rather how can we collectively take ownership of our city and participate in solving problems and identifying opportunities. Together, we have accomplished much. Together, we have accomplished much. We brought in millions of dollars through investments in businesses, large and small. We've increased our visibility within the region in areas such as transportation and housing, bringing a new Metro light rail station to our city, and being one of the first pro-housing communities in the state that also assists and protects Pomona's working families. And in 2020, when we experienced a pandemic like no other, where thousands of Pomona residents served in frontline occupations and many families suffered immeasurable losses, we sprung into action with the COVID-19 Action Committee, rapidly developing food and rental assistance programs and developing relationships across organizations that had not previously worked together. As I reflect on my time serving as your mayor, I can point to many accomplishments with pride. But for me, the most rewarding efforts have been the ones where I have brought people together to improve our community, whether it's working with organizations to pursue multi-million-dollar grants or with my friends at Pomona Beautiful. That is why I'm running for re-election in 2024. While I'm proud of all that we've accomplished, we all know there is still more work to be done to address the challenges we faced. That's why I'm asking for your vote in my re-election as your mayor in 2024. Let's do this together. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Veronica, your 2-minute closing statement.
Thank you. Well, I don't see how the current politicians, I have created a sentence that goes like, the definition of insanity is keep voting for the same politicians and expect different results. It is proven they can do any better. And having relationships with the police, we have our city budget divided, especially 80% of the whole budget goes to 2 institutions. They have to stay away from that. They can't keep doing that. Nepotism, stop. We can keep supporting families to continue take the position. Eventually it's going to be the son, then the children, that you don't see the benefit of, that they're working for the people. That's something that I am against. I'm against increasing sales tax, better city management, stay away from, keep government institutions away from politics. Listen to the people, take care of the homeless problem with changing their lives, creating enough housing. There is 1,700 people in waiting list after 7 years. We have to take care of that. It's doable with the same money, just better management, different approach. Within a year, you would be able to see the difference, but we have to think and we have to act different. We can keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. It's going to be very tough. It's going to be very tough because if I get to be there, it's a whole mentality that needs to be changed. But I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue talking to people and convincing. So that's my approach. That's my offer.
Thank you very much, Veronica. I appreciate your closing statement. Gustavo, your closing statement.
I agree wholeheartedly with Pomona. I can assure you, I promise you, that if you vote for the same politicians that have utterly failed Pomona and have this city being, some of the city is in worse than third world countries. I can show you the alleys behind the churches and behind the 7-Elevens and on Holt Avenue, where I've seen more sex workers in one single city on a Monday, in one single corner on one Monday than in Santa Monica Boulevard, where I used to work, by far, where people come from Phoenix, Arizona, and Tijuana to Pomona to get prostitutes, sex workers, and also to get stronger heroin and stronger fentanyl, and they die. So look, I started a program called Pomona Beautiful as well, and there's proof. There's proof for everything that I'm saying. There's proof. I was 9 years old, and I started, ironically, a program called Pomona Beautiful. Look, I'll just show you. My brother made this. He's homeless veteran from Pomona, went to Pomona High and graduated. All this stuff, I don't know if you can see it, but there's me in front of my house. I've been in here since I was 1 year old in Pomona, and I've been being a community organizer since I was 9 years young, and I started an effective program called Pomona Beautiful. And like I said, there was letters to City Hall thanking me for my efforts. I've ridden my bike 3 times from San Francisco to Los Angeles, and I created a ride in Baja California for AIDS and education and prevention, and also for education for universities in Baja California as well, riding my bike. Tim Sandoval has publicly made fun of and admonished people that he said because these that are grown men and bikes that are made for kids. And I've talked to people that fit that description. They said that they're part of the green movement, the environmental movement. Some of them are drug addicts, and they're still they're brilliant and part of the environmental movement. And I help take them to recovery centers myself.
Thank you very much, Gustavo. I appreciate your closing statement. Before I close tonight, I want to thank all of the candidates who were here tonight. It was really good to give a forum for the people of Pomona be able to see all of you. I want to remind everybody that the League of Women Voters of the Mount Baldy area has a YouTube channel, and we have done a forum for all of the candidates that are running for office for city council and mayor, and we're very proud of that. I also want to remind people that the League of Women Voters has a national site called vote411.org. As a voter, you can go to Vote411 and you can find out more information about all the candidates that are running in your area, as well as across the country. So I thank all of you very much, and good night.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.